Is the entrance to the cave in this room?
If you remember, you're in this is the gold chamber.
That's the gold chamber, and that's...
So there's your sword there, in fact.
Okay, yes, you have.
And there's a sort of a peak and a peak,
okay.
and you find yourself, and it's sort of stabbed into this third peak, so you'd have to make it through a valley of gold in order to make it to your sword.
And this is the entrance here where the waterfall is?
Yes.
Into the cave.
That's the way to where the water
And
was.
which way did she go? Into Avagrim?
Avagrim was over here.
Okay. Can I...
So you heard, as far as you... Well, she went out and she shouted at Avagrim. You don't know which direction she walked in.
Okay. Could I move silently up into the curtain?
Yes.
Let's do that. Oh, I need to put something in silent. Oh, no. 5.
Okay. You start trying to sneak towards the curtain. When you get to the curtain, what do you do?
Listen.
So not wanting to whip the curtain to one side.
No.
You walk right as close as you can without actually pushing against it.
11.
And you listen ever so carefully, and you can hear some kind of mutterings. Avagrim sometimes just mutters to himself. Sometimes in his sleep, sometimes when he's awake.
Could I move to the left-hand side of the curtain, so if I peek around I could maybe see into that tunnel leading to Avagrim's? Move silently?
Yep.
Very sneakily. 11, 12!
Okay. So you move, make a perception check.
11!
You're almost pressed up against the curtain. You listen carefully. You hear some kind of muttering. You think it's Avagrim, but it might be that the golden lady is saying something to him. You're not really sure. Either way, you sneak sideways, press yourself up against the actual edge of the cave, and you just hear a step, literally the other side of the curtain, stepping past the curtain, and it's just a teeny little peek. You can see sort of the side, literally the side and arm of the golden lady swings sort of right in front of your face.
Wow, which direction is she walking towards?
She's walking this way to the left. You presume she must have just chastised Avagrim.
Yeah.
She seems to take great pleasure and spends a great deal of time taking great pains to make sure to keep him. For what reason you do not know.
Am I allowed past this curtain? I'm not, am I?
She's never said, as far as you know.
She
She
said-
left you counting, and up until now you have always...
She said I'm allowed to walk around in...
Yep, she said you're free to walk around. You have a feeling that this has happened before, possibly many times, but you don't recall anything specific.
I'll wait to hear her move away. I'll just wait a few moments, keep listening to see where her footsteps disappear. So, oh man.
You hear her footsteps moving away from you, and they seem to disappear into the drip of the cave.
I very silently, just very carefully, just swoosh by to the other side of the curtain. So just move the curtain slightly and just very silently just move to the other side of the curtain. 14.
Okay, what are you trying to do?
Just move to the other side of the curtain without...
failed. You can sneak to wherever you want.
Oh right, oh excellent. Well then I'd like to sneak all the way up to Avagrim, please.
Okay. So you gently, hearing the footfalls travelling away from you, as far as you know, to some way out, or certainly to a pool of water, you quickly flip the curtain to one side, being careful to hold the heavy velvet up so as to not make any kind of swooshing noises.
Scuffling on the ground, yeah.
Or scuffling on the ground. You ease past it and ever so carefully put it back, letting it go, pausing, listening, hearing nothing. You move over to the other side of the cave, press yourself against the wall. You can hear your own heart pounding in your chest. Every breath seems ragged and loud to you, but you keep it as slow and as even as possible. And gently, one tiny step at a time, carefully lifting, carefully placing each foot, you make your way round towards Evergreen. And as you move in the strange glow that is the tunnel walls of this cave, you come to the edge and you just peer around just so that you can see to where you believe Evergreen ought to be. But so you will not be seen, and you find yourself with sort of one eye looking at the cave wall and the other eye you see a hunched up golden male form, wrapped partially in a sort of brown cloak.
I whisper very quietly, Evergreen.
Still got his back to you, his head moves around, and as you it sort of flips around and you find yourself looking at a male equivalent of this golden woman's face, but somehow lacking the malevolent black pits for eyes. These black pits look tired and worn, almost like he'd fallen into his own eyes forever and was just falling, and had been falling for so long he knew not what else. And he looks at you with a strange grimace. Make a perception check.
Oh yes, 19, not natural.
You see that there is a metallic golden stain on the edges of his cloak, and it looks like he's bleeding. But bleeding golden ichor from his side.
Okay.
And he's holding the cloak against it. And he has slightly ragged breathing. And he looks at you with both fear, trepidation, and maybe a glimmer of hope.
I say, I take a delicate step forward with a hand out, and I say, it's okay, I'm not going to hurt you. I'm here to help.
He looks at you and he's like, "You're too late. You're the one I saw. You came for me. Thank you, young thing. But I fear you're too late." And he clutches at his side.
Well, there is always hope. As long as we draw breath, there is always hope. All we need to do is get out.
And he looks at you and with a sort of an almost pitying look, and he's like, "Free me of these chains and I will free you of yours. But until then, what can we do?"
Can I look at the chains that are bound? Is there a key hole to unlock these chains?
Make a perception check as you start.
Fail!
As you start examining them.
As
you start examining them, you just find what appears to be completely smooth. Golden hoops. They can't even see a mechanism which would allow them to hinge. They just look like sort of perfect golden hoops with a fairly chunky golden chain linking them together.
Maybe it's some sort
and
of magic.
you make an intelligence check a second.
Intelligence 17.
You think to yourself, maybe if I was small, I would see better.
How do I do that?
What makes you small?
In the cage, yeah, okay. Okay. I say to Avigrim, I have an idea. Just stay quiet and I'll be right back. And I'd like to move silently back into the counting room, like to try and follow exactly the same smooth, secret, sneaky path that I used very consciously. The same way I came in, I want to try and go out. Yes! 20, not natural. 20, not natural.
You move very quickly this time, up on tippy toes, almost dashing, but dashing very quietly up against the wall. A couple more steps up against the wall. Listen very carefully. Maybe listen to
it. 12.
You hear the dripping of the cave. You hear the sound of what might be distant water. Nothing else. You dash through, opening the curtain quickly, letting it close very quietly behind you. Again, sort of almost aghast, almost disgusted now by this gold chamber full of gold, which doesn't seem to have any use whatsoever. And you look over to the cage, which is placed on the floor next to the little table and next to the chest, where you were allowed out.
I very delicately pick up the cage and hold it in the bottom as well as the top, and try and move silently again back to Avigrim. 20, not natural.
Make another listen check.
Oh, this is amazing. What the synergy is just okay. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. It's almost identical.
Again, so keeping up really heart kind of almost in your mouth at this point, as this sort of, there's a fluttering like a butterfly in your chest as you feel like you're doing something for the first time and you don't even know how long, which is just amazing. And you think, I can help Avigrim, and you take the cage through. No, don't hear anything, keep going. You come back to Avigrim, and Avigrim also seems to have, you've never seen him. I mean, he has a look in his face like if gold could have like rosy cheeks. It's almost like he looks alive rather than just wasted and beaten. And you come in with the golden cage.
And I put it.
He's still sat
on that rock that's in the centre.
He seems to be almost unable to leave it.
Right. Okay. I gently, very gently and quietly place the cage on the rock next to him, and climb up onto the rock, and open the door really quietly of the cage, and take a step towards it.
And you find yourself shrinking. And at each step, the first step you seem to be a lot smaller. The second step, and you're no more than ankle high. And then you find yourself in a position to get into the cage.
Okay. I say to Avigrim, oh shit, I hope he can hear me.
You turn around and you peer up and you see this very large head now looking at you. Looking down at you.
I say, let me see your shackles again.
And the sort of smooth, beaten voice now sounds incredibly deep. Yes, young lady, yes.
I'll do a little check onto that. 17.
It takes a little while because you start looking. Where do you start looking?
I start looking to see if there's any sort of closing sort of mechanism at all. Like how is it like shut across?
So he holds his hands down and you start on the right hand, right hand, and you just start and you look at it and it still seems very smooth, and you start running your hands over it, and eventually after a minute or two of running hands over it, you find it's like when you run your fingers over sellotape trying to find where sellotape begins. You can and you're like, oh, okay, so you can feel that there's like a line there.
Okay.
And then moving around, you kind of come around to the chain side, and it's sort of, there's nothing obvious there. You work your way along the chain, running hands over, looking ever so carefully.
17.
And eventually you come to the middle of the chain, and in the middle link of the chain, there is a keyhole. A tiny keyhole, smaller even than the keyhole, like a keyhole which is the right size for somebody of your size. And then you're like, oh no wonder I couldn't find any mechanism or any keyhole, because it's like this keyhole is tiny.
And it's actually in one of the links.
It's in the central link of the chain. And as you carry on working along, make a perception check.
18.
In your tiny state, you find that your hearing is particularly sharp, and you hear a very distant sort of like something emerging from water.
Shit. I take 2 steps away from the cage.
With each step getting bigger, and you find yourself stood next to Avagrim. Avagrim looking at you with a sort of look of hope on his face.
I found the keyhole. Now all we need to do is find the key. But she's coming back. I need to go. I'll be back. Don't worry.
He looks at you with a look of stunned shock, surprise, joy, hope, fear of disappointment almost. And he's like, yes. Away. If she catches you, I don't know what you would do.
Okay. I hop down off the rock. Very gently pick up the birdcage again, and go for a very quick, very silent dash back to the gold chamber. 11, 12 for move silently.
You pick it up carefully, you dash, you push yourself against the wall, you think, okay, take 2 steps, you hear something coming closer, you dash across to the velvet curtain, you look and you can almost see a sort of golden shimmering on one of the walls as you slip through the curtain, and hear steps coming towards the curtain.
I specifically placed the cage exactly where I left it, where I got it from. The door was closed. Yeah, I'll make sure that the door is closed as well, and leave it exactly how I left it. How I found it. And then just start pacing as if I'd just been aimlessly pacing the whole time.
Okay, you start pacing, and immediately there's a sort of slight clink of gold, and you kick a coin away, and you hear, make a perception check.
18.
You hear this sound, the familiar sound of footsteps pass by the curtain, heading directly for Avagrim.
I silently dash up to the curtain and have a listen. So 16 for move silently. 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 to listen. 16 to move, 13 to listen.
You go over to the curtain and you press yourself as close as you dare in order to attempt to listen. Crit fail.
Again! Awesome.
And you hear muffled voices in the distance, and you have taken courage from the steps you've taken towards hopefully freeing Avagrim. And so you part the curtains cautiously, dash across and press against the wall, sidle around the wall, and you start to hear the voices, and you start to hear the Golden Lady's voice. What have you done, Avagrim? I sensed it. You're doing something with your chains. What have you done? Do you listen on?
Mm-hmm.
Avagrim, you sort of just as a muffled like, no, I've done nothing. She's like, I can see it in you. You have hope. You're never meant to have hope again. You know that. Do you continue listening?
Mm-hmm.
He's like, have you not trapped me for long enough? And when I not done enough? Have I got to be here for all eternity? She's, no, you know all eternity I shall own you and you shall never be free. For what you did to me, I shall destroy you. And the only way you will ever be destroyed is if you are completely broken, and I know that not yet is that true. You hear a sudden, sharp footstep. Make a perception check.
8.
As if someone is stepping backwards and turning towards you. You hear footsteps coming towards you now.
I slide back through the curtain, move silently. 9, 10, 10.
You get through the curtain and the curtain slams shut behind you. You hear footsteps. The curtain whips apart and she's like, what do you think you're doing, little bird?
I kicked a coin and it rolled over here. I was just.
Oh, did you
I
now?
just picked it up and threw it back over onto the pile.
Deception.
Or
Bluff.
charisma.
Oh,
when I crit failed.
21.
What did you say? What did you do?
I was just getting a coin. I kicked it and it rolled over here, and I just picked it up to throw it back onto the pile. I was worried it might roll away.
And she suddenly, sort of something about her sort of relaxes, and she looks down and she looks at you with that sharky smile that never touches her eyes, and her clawed fingers sort of lightly brush the back of your hair, almost affectionately, and she's like, there, little bird, you're a good little bird. Now, back to counting with you.
Yes, of course.
And I go back to the table and sit and start counting.
Make a perception check while she is... No,
Nope.
Okay, that's cool. So you start counting and filling the chest and counting stacks of 1,000, as she said. And you seem to do this every day, all day. You get your walk, you count gold, you put it in the chest, you put it away. She comes over after you've been counting for what seems like forever once more. Once again, lifting the golden bird cage, opening the door, going, my little bird, back with you. You step up onto the table, finding yourself no more than ankle high. You step through the door into the cage. She carefully reaches down and shuts the door. It's a tiny key. Make a perception check.
11.
You are looking now at the other chains, and you're certain that each chain has a key.
This is what I assumed. This is what I assumed.
And she picks you up and she takes the cage. She carries it over and she hangs it up on the stand with the other cages. Ever so carefully, and she's like, now little bird, off to sleep with you. Make a willpower.
Willpower, yes, of course. 12.
And you find your eyes get heavy against your will. And you curl up on the floor, fall asleep.